Hi everyone, how you doing? So today is a really amazing day because we're going to do a show that is dedicated to something that's so much bigger than we are. It's about hope, and this idea came out of the blue one day with Nisha, who we have on screen with us today. You've seen her often with us. She's my program partner and the founder of Mind Wellness, and we were having a discussion, and this is really about a personal story. And we realized how, no matter what your circumstances in life are, situations and challenges crop up. And our mentality can really be either an ally or it can be less than an ally, right? And that's why we have to find something to hold on to. So I thought let's dedicate today's conversation and personalize today's conversation on the gift that we've been given as humans. We've been given the ability to hold on to hope, to hold on to positivity, to hold on to optimism. And in the moments when things seem really tough and difficult, when life seems to be throwing everything at you, and then just when you think you're hitting rock bottom, someone pulls out the rug from under your feet and you're falling, you have to hold on to something. And this is where hope, positivity, and optimism can literally be a lifesaver. So I thought, let's talk about this today. I know you all have experiences, every single one of us does. So let us go out there and share. I invited Nisha today because Nisha has a personal story and journey. And I wanted to talk about that in depth. I believe, Nisha, we also have Jamila joining us a little later, and she'll be sharing a little about her journey as well. And I also invite all of you on Facebook who are tuned in today. If you have your own journeys and stories, please share with us. Share with us how hope was that positive light at the end of the tunnel for you. Because I realize in life, when we share stories and experiences, we give each other a gift. We also give each other hope itself. So we can pass it back and forth. I see that Jamila is also coming on very soon. But before that, Nisha, I throw the mic your way. Tell us this journey of yours.
Yeah, so I do echo what you just said, Rajiv, and I feel like sometimes, you and I, we're in the in lines of work that we do, we ourselves face personal situations where sometimes our own resilience and our own mindset challenges us. And this conversation today actually came from one that we were having recently. And this is my story of an experience of myself with somebody else actually who's going through a challenging phase in their life. And so this is a bit more about how we, as somebody who's not necessarily going through something difficult, but how we show up for someone who's going through something difficult. So um, it's someone who's very close to us, a very dear family friend, someone we know is going through a very challenging time with a major illness. And what ended up happening was, when you go through difficult times like this, support is something that can make a huge difference and can create a huge impact, more than we even realize, on somebody else's journey. So, what started out as something very simple, a few people that we knew came together, banded together, and just would connect with this person regularly, send them positive messages, messages of hope, and even jokes and laughter, something to keep their spirits up through a difficult time. Um, Created an inspiration for this person to actually want to make an impact, to from what we were able to do in a very, very limited capacity, what we were able to do for this individual. They were so inspired by it because it made such a difference to them that they themselves based on the learning and that experience that they have, they wanted to come out and do this to create more platforms to inspire people like me, you, anybody out there with a voice
Wow.
to do this, to talk about messages of hope, to
Nish,
share hope.
may I ask you here at this point?
Yes.
You mentioned a beautiful quote that they had said to you, and it really touched me. It it had something to do with the word with leaders, inspiring leaders to go out there and share hope. Could you, if you have that handy, I would love you to read
I,
that.
I don't have the word for word handy at the moment, but I'll give you the essence of it. It's basically that so it was this thing called a cheer squad that we had created.
Yes, that's the one.
And yeah, so that was the essence of what we created. And what his message was is it's go out there, be the leaders in the world to lend a voice of hope to others.
That's
That's
beautiful.
the essence of what was said to me. And so and so from there, the hope was actually to be able to have, this individual join us today and to be able to show up as a part of this conversation. However, due to, some reasons given the nature of how things go, we weren't able to do that. But what my takeaway was is to use that as an opportunity to start the conversation around hope in difficult and challenging times and even changing times. So, and how sometimes, and when you know people around you, so it's not just the person who's going through it, it's their families. It's how you know these people and their families and how you're connected to them, how you're showing up for them. And the long and short of this, and why I thought today was important, is that we're not going to have all the perfect answers, but the most important thing is that we need to have the conversations. We need to have these discussions so that people listening today will be able to come away with something, so that even if they might be alone, I don't know who might be ending up listening to our conversation, but they feel like they need some support right now, or they need some some words of positivity or hope, as the topic of today is. If we can even do that, I think that was what was intended by this person in my life, to be able to continue this message and this mission to continue to spread hope. So
I
that
I,
was
I
my
want to
story.
I want to jump in here, because this is what, there's so many key things here, and the reason you mentioned it, the good news is, he was supposed to be here with us, and he's hopefully listening.
Yes.
He can't join us today, but what I found really amazing is the fact that when someone is going through their own challenges, your mindset really dictates how you deal with the situation. And to be able to see an example, because you read it, you read about it once, and so in so many cases where someone who's dealing with such a heavy rock on the shoulder, right, would be able to shine bright and see life from such a amazing perspective, see the gift that we are given, and then inspire others through that very journey, without really worrying about their own situation. To me, that is so beautiful, Nisha. You know what touched me when we spoke about it? The reason I said, no, we must have this conversation, is because even though you would feel that in situations where someone's dealing with a personal problem, everyone always feels that they have to be the ones giving support, and that person needs to be supported. But the beauty of optimism and positivity is, and the beauty of this entire conversation and your story to me, was how even in that moment in time, you were getting inspired. Everybody around was getting inspired. And how even at those points when you're dealing with an ailment that is difficult to deal with, you know, you're still thinking about the greater way that you can inspire. It means your life can still contribute towards uplifting others. That to me was so powerful. So I was honored. I was so humbled and honored that he said, I would love to come and talk and share. And I was like, really, but I'm equally excited that today we're talking about it, you know? So Nish, thank you for sharing. I know that it's a tough one for you. I know it's ongoing. Um,
And my hope will still be that should we get an opportunity, hopefully we'd actually be able to have this conversation live whenever it is possible. So yeah.
Let's pray that does
Otherwise,
happen.
yes, and let's go for it. Yes, let's move on to the
Now,
next thing.
now addressing a thing that is a reality for many of us is that we have to also empathize with the support structure around an individual case. So a lot of times, we forget that, when something's happening, when an issue happens or a challenge happens, it happens maybe to one person, but there's an immediate circle around them that's impacted, and then a second layer of circles, and the circles expand, right? And every one of those circles have individuals in there who, at a certain level, are also dealing with the situation. And we all want to be empathetic. We all want to be compassionate. We want to say the right things. But often, many of us freeze because we don't really know what to say, how to deal with it, right? Sometimes you're not prepared, right? It's a shock. Even, you attach yourself to the situation. You feel the impact. So this is a conversation that extends to that space as well, because even for everybody else, positivity, optimism, these are tools that we all have to lock into. So because there are options to us, right, Nish?
I have to say something on this point, and I think this is a good juncture to introduce this. So, how I'd like to look at it is that in difficult times, let's honor the fact that the emotions are going to be difficult. I don't want to sugarcoat that because from what I've seen, and not just in this situation, even personally experienced, is that tough times will happen. And sometimes what we do want to make sure of is not to use positivity as as sort of an out or an escape route or means for positivity to kind of not deal with what we're going through. However, having said that, when I mentioned about the positive messages, etc., and what we were talking about is honoring that it is difficult, but in the moments of difficulty, when we make contact with something that can help us to hold on to the hope, that is something that can be profound and powerful.
Yes.
Seeing the light, shining the light in even the darkest of spaces. So that's something that when you mentioned that, I thought, we should acknowledge as well.
I appreciate you clarifying. That's absolutely right. See, experiencing the emotions, being there with the emotions, that is a journey. You have to meet it. Yeah. I love what you said with how positive you can be applied even in those moments. I really love that space, Nish. But for 1 second, let's touch this topic a little further. It's that we have to also appreciate the fact that not everyone is ready for the challenge. And sometimes we forget that the challenge, even though the direct individual is facing it, that everybody else around is also going through that problem. So many times not that we want to, right? But we may not be as sensitive to the realization that, wait a second, there's other people also impacted by this. And you have to be aware of that, right? And, you don't only shine the light towards that one space, you shine to everyone because there's so many people around that circle that need that light too. And so when you were telling me the story earlier, there were so many contexts that I was seeing, and it really makes you realize that there's so much more that hope can bring to the table, right? Because there's so many different people involved in a journey like this. Yeah, and in several challenges. Am I right?
Yeah. And here's where I want to bring forward a more human perspective to this. Sometimes when you're not immediately involved, or even from your own experiences, this could be something that's happening to maybe an immediate family member of yours as well. Sometimes you may not be the person it's happening to, but if you're in that circle, depending on where you're at, sometimes we also freeze as human beings, where we may not necessarily know the right response, because much as you're told, or there's some understanding of what a protocol would be on what you're supposed to do in these situations, trust me, when they happen, it varies from person to person, situation to situation. So it's about being kind to yourself, being kind to people involved, and having open dialogue and conversation about what is it people, not just the person going through it, but even people in the immediate periphery. If you just happen to find yourself in that situation where you're on the periphery of it, to check in, to understand what's needed. Because sometimes the best answer of what to do actually will come from the people who are affected. That was another thought that I thought I'd put out there.
I love what I'm hearing. Absolutely. And then there's always the element of support. The support comes in many ways, right? I remember a story where someone said someone was dealing with a situation that was very tough, and everybody around kept on echoing it, and it just made the situation so much, it magnified it and made it so much worse, right? And in hindsight, if they were able to change the dynamics of that situation by just infusing more love and infusing more positivity and optimism. So there is ways of, and again, there's no right and wrong here, but definitely there is such depth to this whole situation, and the empathy and compassion that we have to bring to a situation like this has to be coupled with one more thing, and that is today's topic, hope. So I want to invite Jamila here as well, because Jamila has a journey to share with us. Now, Jamila is also someone that is part of our Mindfully You journey. So I'm kind of excited to have her here today.
So I'm going to invite her to come on in. And Jamila, if you could just turn on your video as well, that'd be fantastic.
Hi. Yeah,
Hi, Jamila.
Okay.
Hey,
Hi.
there you are. How are you?
Hello, everyone. How are you doing?
We're well.
Yeah.
So today, Jamila, we're talking about hope and our personal journeys with hope, and how hope has actually showed up for us. I know you were sharing a story about your own journey with it.
Yeah.
Would you be able to tell us a little about your personal journey?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I've been through like everyone here, I believe, who come here on earth to learn many lessons, right? I've been through many lessons, right? But right now, what I'm going through right now is like I'm and my family, we are caring for our mom. She's really old, and since this lockdown time, she sort of regresses pretty fast, and so. And we might say we grew up with her because our dad passed like long time back when I was a baby and when my siblings were really young, right? So we grew up with her like as a single mom, and so of course there's every aspect. I am not saying that we are learning through many things, love, tough love, and all that. But I think what I would love to share today is this piece of my life right now, right? That we are going through her change, and the change came like pretty fast, from the beginning of the year, that on her 90th birthday that we could go out and celebrate, to like only 3-4 months later she is basically in bed like over 95%, right? And so there's a moment that I thought I would going to see her again in the morning, and that was tough, and so gosh, there's so much learning here that I'm learning from this, like personally, and also with my siblings, because in a way we grew up like, and there were almost only women in the household, but we were quite like sort of like tough, and it's hard for us to share our emotional side, and everyone's got to like act strong, and of course we took turns, but we try to be there for her, almost all the time, every day. But and then it's just like and someday I saw my sister one of my sisters started to get cranky, right? Because it's like it's quite a lot of energy, and even myself, some days, like, God, I'm so tired. You know, I didn't have enough of emotional space for myself and to hold a space for everyone, for my mom. Then and then just, hey, you know what? I'm working as a, you know, like on holistic health, but how come we couldn't like really share? So I start sharing and start to like, you know what? Today you're tired. It's okay that you're not sitting here. Go rest. Go sleep. You know, and I've started to do that for myself. Is just start to say, hello. You know, I'm so tired. You know, and we start to, okay, you know, take a leave, and it seems to be common, right? But I in my household is our nature, and I believe maybe, you know, I share the more or less the same experience uh, as many people here. You know, it's just like everyone's got to be there, and also I think it's like in an Asian culture especially. Mm-hmm. And so and also getting back to mom, you know, I there were nights that I couldn't sleep really because I was so worried that I wasn't gonna see her again in the morning. Uh-huh. And and uh, so I start to learn to just, yeah, breathe it in and start to embrace and start to um, kind of accept in a deeper level. Accept in a deeper level means, you know, of course I know my mom's like getting older every year this past few years. So I sort of start to work on the if I may, because I'm working in the sort of holistic and spiritual field. So I start to use the some meditation and visualization to prepare for her transition. I've started sort of 2 years already, you know, and I start to feel her energy is like also getting lighter as well.
Mm-hmm.
But still, when, you know, like I really like what you said, Nisha, that I won't gonna sugarcoat, you know, that especially, you know, when for the people who are working in the like spiritual and holistic field, you know, that like, wow, we have all the tools and but hey,
And it's that
everyone's human being,
being
and every single person is like going through, you know, at different uh, given moments, we are all going through some challenging moments for ourselves or with people around us, as you've mentioned earlier. So I said, oh gosh, there's a day that I said I couldn't sleep, and and I had also like sort of this is not right. I start to feel low, start to feel a bit depressed. So I reach out. I reach out to my healers friends. Hey, you know, could you send me the session? You know, and it doesn't mean I'm a Reiki master and I got to, you know. Of course, I'm working on myself, and that helps me so much, you know, to have a spiritual practice. But I can't say that, you know, oh my God, you know, that would gonna be that would be my ego talking, right? And just
Yes.
like shut and just be vulnerable and not accepting what's really going on, and especially my own vulnerability, which is, I think, that is so important. Mm-hmm. And
Jamila, may I ask you a question?
yeah,
Because I'm first of all, I really thank you for this story, because you know, me and Nisha, as we listen to you share your story, we can feel, you know, how your journey is. And there were so many key things you shared that I wanted just to quickly highlight as I ask you this next question, is that, you know, you mentioned that, you know, there was times you're feeling low and you realize that, you know, you were tired, right? These are we are all human beings. We all are going to have those
yeah,
moments where we are down. You know, we are going to feel depressed.
yeah,
No matter how good your practices are, ultimately you have to go back to taking care of yourself. And
exactly.
what you said, and one of the takeaways I took, and I know Nisha, you probably heard it, is,
Yes.
I went back to myself. I said it's okay, take a break, because you don't love someone less because you take care of yourself and you try to balance
Right.
yourself, because you need to. Ultimately, you have to take care of yourself. And what Nisha, you did say earlier, and it's really important, is in that love itself, being kind to yourself is also very important to bring your hope, right? And if you want to create a balance in the way you think, and so you can be there to support somebody else, you can't support somebody if you yourself are shaking. You need to be grounded. So
But there's
very well
one
said.
thing, Raj,
Absolutely.
as well that I want to add on, and I picked up, is sharing and turning to.
Share.
As
Yes.
especially people in our line of work, I get it. Sometimes you feel so. We all have our own practices where when we are also going through difficult times, we turn to people. And I
Yes.
think a highlight message I want to leave here for anybody listening. Look, when times are tough, sometimes it's not our first instinct to turn to. Like even in this situation, we took the initiative, and I'm very glad that we did initially to do this, because the first instinct is to actually withdraw. Sometimes for different people it's different, but for a number of people, actually the instinct is to withdraw, like what you're saying, in your family it's to be strong and tough. But when you start to turn to, when you share it with someone, or when you ask someone to support you, when you can acknowledge, that, hey, you know what, whether I'm experiencing it, whether I'm a caregiver, whether there's someone around me, when as that caregiver, as that person even who's experiencing it, you decide to let people in, or you do the turning to behaviors, that is something that can make such a profound change in your life. And sometimes, like I said, it's a trap that people in, because sometimes this lines of work, or people who are out there who are very proactive positions, know that when you reach out for, or when you do the turning to behavior of asking for help, it's actually your strength and vulnerability that allows you to do that, and you're the one better off for it. So it's something that I picked up from Jamila, and I actually kind of want to put that out there as a general message, because when I work with people one-on-one, I tell every client that walks through my door, I am so proud of you, because that journey to decide to work with someone, or take some kind of, like, what you were saying, do sessions with someone, or even if it's just like, turning to for a conversation, that is the beautiful first step towards healing. And I'm going to end on that note, because that was one point I just wanted to add to
Yeah.
Rajiv.
Brilliant. So,
Mm.
Jamila, come back to you with one question. What, with this journey as far as it's going, what brings you hope after this entire episode? Because it's ongoing with you, right? So,
Yeah.
how do you hold on to hope? What are some things you know, that you're holding on to right now that just brings the hope to you and your loved ones in this
Hmm.
situation?
I believe in my in my case, I feel like we practice to accept and stick with the truth that she's not getting younger, she's not getting you know healthier, and so in this case, of course we are not like, it is like and who knows, I'm not talking about um, especially again in Asian culture is almost like a taboo to think that uh, your old man gonna go, it is like, and start to paint the color that and run away from the truth, right? But for us, we just like, hey, you know what, we hope for her to live as long as she could, if she's not torturing, right? That's the first thing. Second, is to for us is accepting the truth. Whether the truth is pretty painful, right? But and it also helps her, and I think that in my case, she also accepts, because it's like when, like, I feel like, okay, I'm doing her Reiki, and one day she just, I don't know how long I'm gonna live, it depends on God, I was just like, but the way she talks is like, wow, I got goosebumps because it's came with underlying strength,
Yeah.
and it helped us so much to accept, so what I talked to her said, yes, mom, you know, I'm going to go one day. She's going to go one day. And yeah, but the moment just like, you just go with peace and, you know, just enjoy the next journey, you know, and we managed to make this kind of conversation. And that was like, it's beautiful. And if you allow, you know, because I'm from a Muslim family, so we're gonna have a burial, right? And I know my mom loved like beautiful things, and she used to make a crochet, like a small pieces, right? And she said about like over 15 years ago that, oh, I'm gonna use this and I'm gonna stitch this together and cover my coffin, right? I was like, whoa. And but we couldn't find that. And about 2 months ago, you know, when she was pretty low, I said, gosh, you know, I planned, it's not to plan that I just want to find it. So I found someone to make like a beautiful sort of kind of table runner kind of, and this is going to be a nice piece for her, you know. But it took me like almost 3 weeks to just, gosh, I have to look for the standard size of the coffin. I got to make, my heart was so clenched, you know, but then, you know what, do it right now. We don't know if she's gone in 3 years, in 3 months, or in 3 weeks, or in 3 days. You got to start doing this now, you know, because what if that day came and you wish to do this for her, you know? And when I pulled myself together and I did that, you know, just wow, it was so healing. It was so healing, and because it came with this amount of acceptance, you know. So I feel like gosh, this if you like, this is like give me hope to carry on when she's not there anymore, you know, that to accept the ultimate truth. And this lesson also helped me to reflect what's going to happen when I reach that age, if I reach that age, you know, for myself to see and to accept when my moment comes as well, right? So yeah.
Camila, thank you for sharing. It's a beautiful. I take so much away with me today from the conversation with both of you. Really do. Um, you know, I want to take a few seconds. You know, I talked to everyone on Facebook as well, and I'm sure you have your stories, and please share it with us. You know, we have so much we can learn from each other. The gift of life is continuously give each other, and if we give each other support and hope, then that is something that is really beautiful.
Yeah.
I take away one understanding, which is that, you know, we don't know what tomorrow brings. We don't know, you know, how many tomorrows exist, but we do know the moment is there right now.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
the most beautiful thing about the moment is that we have a choice. We have a choice to make this moment the moment. And if we live life at the moment, then everything that we do at this point in time matters. Everything that we say at this point in time impacts. And everything that happens around you now is something that we must learn to be grateful for. And when we focus on that, guys, the tomorrow, as much as many of us are trained to continuously look forward to, doesn't become as important as the moment in time. And that's something that I think teaches us through hope, that when we focus only on what tomorrow will bring, we forget the present. And the present is the gift that life has been given to us. So I really appreciate both of you for teaching me, for sharing, for opening up your hearts, because it means the world to me.
And Rajiv, I just do want to take a moment to acknowledge, obviously, the people who have brought us to Jamila and her story. You know, the person in my life who's kind of inspired me to be here today evening. I just want to make a nod to that, and also say that regardless to the audience that's watching, regardless of wherever you are at right now, do stay connected with us, and we hope to be able to be here with you as a community. If you ever need any support or resources, come connect with us. And also know that you're not alone. I think that's a message that I personally stand for in the work that I do, and I want to put it out there that you're not alone. And I hope that Jamila, Raj, you and me, all of us together, can continue shining the light with you.
Yeah, I'm happy too. Yeah.
Thank you all for being here today, and we catch up
Yeah.
next one.
Yeah. And thank you so much for inviting me in, you know, and one last thing that I would love to share as a gift is like when you accept, you get to the point that you can relax more into the situation. And when you relax, you radiate that, you know, to the people around you, even though like my siblings who are also help holding the space for my mom. And it affects my mom tremendously, you know. And so if you're caregiver in this situation, just find whichever way, and like Rajiv just said, you know, be in the moment. And for me, just accept and find the way that to care for you. So when you relax, the people around you will also get that and get that beautiful impact from you.
Wow,
Yeah.
it's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. That was really beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jamila.
Thank you so
All right.
much.
Yeah, thank you,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm happy to be back here.
Amazing. So let's say bye to Facebook together. Bye,
Yeah,
everyone.
bye everyone's
Bye.
watching. Thank you.
Thank you.